Hey up everybody, welcome back to the Audi Cycling YouTube channel, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Tour Down Under. Super happy to see Velogames back for 2025. Firstly, just some housekeeping stuff. If you want to join the Audi Cycling Mini League, which I'm presuming people will want to do, I will put the code up somewhere on screen now. And I'll also put it in the description of the video just so you all can come and join this race. If you were a part of it last year, you need to put this new code in order to join it because it's like a yearly code. And secondly, for the warm-up championship, I have made a wall chart. I know I was mentioning those last year. Those are currently literally being made. I did have some made, but the warm-up championship series has changed, like the races. There's like 11 races now, not 9. So I've ordered some more. Those will be up soon on Etsy, which is the platform I'm going to be using to sell those. There are stage race championship ones available if you guys want to go and get those ahead of time. But obviously the first race without is like Paris-Nice, so maybe you don't want to just yet. But I will keep on reminding you every race pretty much. There's like the Alula Tour, Tour of Oman, Comunitat Valenciana. They're all still to come. So really good to see that George has extended the warm-up championship series to 11 races, and we're going to be doing videos for all of these. So if you are new, be sure to subscribe and stick around, because if you like this sort of video and if you are interested in Velogames, then more than likely you're going to be sticking around. So you may as well just click subscribe. Maybe we can get to 2,000 subscribers this year. But to begin with, stage 1, this will probably be a sprint, although there are some categorized climbs in there. The flatter kind of final quarter of that should mean that it's a sprint. Stage 2 will probably be a sprint as well, of some sorts. Mengler's Hill, maybe it'll dislodge somebody like Welsford, maybe it won't. He does seem in really good form at the moment. It really depends if anybody else takes up the pace setting. Stage 3 won't be a sprint. I expect that because this final climb is pretty close to the end, we'll see a group of GC contenders or sprinting it out at the end there, kind of a bit like when Del Toro won that stage last year. Stage 4, up Nettle Hill, pretty tough climb that. I expect a small group to probably be fighting it out. I think like a couple of years ago, it was like Rowan Dennis, Schmid, Simon Yates and stuff like that were fighting out for victory, so something similar this year. Willunga Hill, obviously, we know how that will probably go, which will be the main GC deciding stage, and then stage 6 around Adelaide for just 90 kilometers, so that'll be a sprint as well. So I'm saying probably 3 sprints and then 3 GC days. But let's go take a look at Velogames now. We have Jonathan Narvaez as the most expensive rider alongside Stephen Williams. I honestly think both of these are good picks. No real problems with either of them. Apart from Narvaez, UAE Team Emirates do say in their press release that Jay Vine is their leader for GC. They don't really mention Narvaez, apart from he's like kind of new to the team. But in theory, Narvaez can compete in more stages than Stevie Williams can, because he's got a faster sprint. So on paper, Narvaez is better, but Stephen Williams, the defending champion, probably a safer choice for absolute GC, whereas Narvaez may be a little bit riskier because of that dual leadership and you don't know what his role's going to be. But in theory, both of these guys are good picks. Which one will be better? I'm not really too sure. It depends if Narvaez sprints, to be honest with you. You got Onley at 18 credits. I think he's a good pick. I think he'll be competing for the podium places. I honestly think that Onley is probably just as good as Stephen Williams, but he's like 4 credits cheaper. That's my take on it. Because Onley was sort of Tour Britain last year. He was pretty much neck and neck with Williams, and he's 4 credits cheaper. So if you're struggling with needing 4 credits, maybe you could go with Onley instead of Williams. That's my take on it. And also Onley was in that move in, I can't remember what it was called. It used to be called the Schwalbe Classic, but like that crit that Welsford won. So Onley was in the break there, which I like the look of, just because it shows that he's kind of up for it. And so is Jay Vine, actually, to be fair. I think that Jay Vine, obviously he's won this race back in 2023. That edition didn't have Willunga Hill, so in theory this parkour suits him even more. I think Jay Vine is a good pick. I don't know whether he'll podium this race. It's a little bit uncertain. I'd say that, for me, these top 4 are big GC favourites, alongside some other ones that I'll point out. Probably like Finn Fisher Black, I'd say, is also a good candidate for the podium. Maybe Luke Plapp as well. And then maybe there are some others. But I'd say that, yeah, these are your big 4 favourites for GC. Welsford at 16 credits. Is he going to be worth it? It really all depends on whether he makes that stage 2. If he doesn't, then he won't be worth it. If he does make it, then he will be worth it. I'd say that given that he's in such good form, that he will make it over that Mengler's Hill. That's my take on it. Maybe that's just me trying to manifest it because I've currently got him in my team. But at 16 credits, he needs to be making it over there. If he does and he wins all 3 of those sprints, which seems pretty likely considering that I'd say he's the fastest sprinter in this field, Welsford could be getting somewhere around 550 points. So that's pretty good, actually, for somebody who's 16 credits. Lund Andresen, good sprinter, versatile, more likely to make it over all those climbs than, say, Welsford. Bauhaus as well. Probably the second fastest sprinter in the race, I'd say. And also probably a good pick. He's a safe pick. I'm not sure if he'll be the highest scoring 14 credit rider, but I think that he's pretty safe. Finn Fisher Black, he's in pretty flying form at the moment, and he's new team, looking to get off a mark nice and well. He wants to wants to show his worth with his team after leaving UAE Team Emirates because there was too much talent going on there. I think that he is a contender for the podium. I think at 14 credits being cheaper, I think he is a good choice. I think he could be finishing top 5 in this race, and I think at 14 credits that provides some pretty good value for money. Piffy, honestly, is the only 14 credit rider I am not tempted to pick, just because they will either be going for Welsford in the sprints, or the stage will be too tough where they'll go for Finn Fisher Black, and I think Piffy will just be some weird in-between who won't get that many points. Plapp, who knows about Plapp, to be honest with you? He could do anything. He could finish on the podium, he could top 5, he could do nothing. Last year he crashed rather unfortunately. I think in theory Plapp should be a good, safe GC contender. I'm not sure if he'll get as many points as Finn Fisher Black, who for some reason I've got more confidence in. But I think Plapp's still a decent choice. Corbin Strong at 14 credits. Realistically, I'm not sure how well he'll do in all of the sprints. He should be top 10ing them all, but is that going to give you enough value for money at the 14 credit mark? I'm not really sure if it is, especially when you've got people who might be competing for the podium or winning sprints. Corbin Strong has the one advantage where, say on that stage, whatever it was, stage 4, possibly, he might make it over that Nettle Hill and then compete for another sprint. He might do. That's the one advantage he has. And Israel Primotek are probably going to win Team GC as well, or they'll at least be top 3, so he'll get some bonus points there. But for me, I'd probably be taking maybe one of the other ones personally. 12 credit riders, I'm not honestly a big fan of any of these. I think Schmid, I would say, is the most likely one I'd choose, just because he has done well in this race in the past. But the fact that they've got Plapp here as well, the dual leadership, I'm just not sure about how to feel about that. I feel like they'd probably go for Plapp. Schmid did do well in GC in this race 2 years ago, but like I've said before, that race didn't include Wollonga Hill. How will he fare on a race which does include it? I'm not too sure. I think he could be top 15 GC, but at 12 credits, I'm not sure if that's worthwhile when you've got guys who are lower down who might be worth a bit more. Bettiol, Higuita, Sheffield. For me, I just think at 12 credits, you've got better choices who might even be 10 credits, or just try and get 2 credits and put it up to one of these guys who are a clear category above. 10 credit riders. Bajoli might do okay for GC and Lidl Trek, but it's a risk. Boven was very good in this race last year, but Alps and De Koenig have 4 sprinters in this race, and I don't know which one they'll go for. Cockard, nice and safe. He'll be competing in the sprints, although he tends to do better on slight uphill sprints, more punchy finishes, which I'm not sure if there really are those. A lot of the finishes will be fast speed sprints, which I'm not sure if that's kind of Cockard's cup of tea. I'd say that he'll still do well. And yeah, he should be getting around 300 points, which is pretty good going, I think. Lapera says that he'll be working for other people in their press release, so probably stay away from him. Junior Lecerf, He'll be leading Sudal Quickstep's GC, so he's a good option. I think he could be top 10 in GC. Narurka, I really like in the 10 credits. I'd say he might be my favourite. This is pretty much exactly where I thought that he'd get priced as well, which I was quite happy to see. I think Narurka he's got the upside where he could honestly top 5 this race, but he is a little bit inconsistent over a stage race, so he might not. Like, he might do well in like 1 or 2 stages, but then kind of drop off GC. I don't really know. He could be, I think, one of the bigger kind of overachievers in this race in comparison to his price. So I think Narurka's got a lot of upside. Rodriguez will probably be top 10 as well. Teutenberg, TTT. Yeah, he'll be competing in the sprint. I don't know how well he climbs, but again, he's competing in 3 stages at 10 credits. That's pretty good value for me. Like, he could probably be getting close to 300 credits, maybe like 250, I'd say. So probably somewhere close to Cockard. Torres, can he repeat what Del Toro did last year? I'm not too sure. I think UE will probably be going for Narvaez or for J Vine before they'd go for Torres. Woods and Zimmerman. I mean, Zimmerman, to be fair, will probably be like top 15 GC. 8 credit riders. Brennan, great pick. Brennan's a great pick. He came third in that crit the other day. He climbs surprisingly well and could therefore compete in that Nettle Hill, whatever, stage 4, whichever one it is. I think Brennan's a really good pick. Visma Lisa Bike don't have a big loader, like a big leader in this race, and I think that Brennan will get a lot of freedom, and I really like that. I think Canal will be sprinting for Movistar. Pretty decent choice. De Gea, one of the 4 sprinters that Alpecin have got. He's a good, like, absolute flat sprinter. So he'll be good for that like final stage probably. Godon, if he can do what he did at Romandy last year, which was like winning 2 stages and doing good. Well, there's no prologue in this race, but you get what I mean. Like, Godon could be good. He should be top 10 in sprints, I think. Whether that'll be worth it, I'm not too sure. I see him getting probably like 200 points, I think will be realistic for him. No. There's just not a lot here in this 8 credit bracket, which is like really enticing me. Van der Laan, possibly. If it's not Godon sprinting, it'll be Van der Laan. Watson will be sprinting for Ineos, so that provides some good value for money. Albert Philipsen could well be the Del Toro of this year. He is obviously like 18 years old. Ridiculous. But he was putting out on a training ride, some really good numbers on like just the climbs. Like, he was absolutely smashing it. I think Philipsen could be underrated in this race, and probably quite easy to overlook for a lot of new people coming into the sport, possibly, or people who don't keep an eye on like the new up and coming riders. Philipsen is a really good one to be looking out for in this race. 6 credit riders. There are some pretty good ones, and I'll just kind of point out those ones rather than going through everybody. Gal Glivar, I like him just as a rider. I'm not sure if this will be his breakout race, but he was 3rd in the under 23 Il Lombardia. He's just a really strong puncher, and I think that he could get some freedom to maybe go GC hunting. I think he could be top 20 personally in GC. It just depends whether he gets those opportunities in those sprints as well. Thomas Gloag is probably my favourite one, or joint favourite. Just because he's been a bit off the radar the last year, and that's why his price is down at 6 credits, but he has got so much talent. He won a stage of a Czech Tour last year, ahead of like Hershey and Ulissi and Higuita and some big names. And I think that Gloag will be a great shout for GC, and I think at 6 credits he provides a lot of safety. So Gloag for me is a really good one to be picking. Mulberger I like as a bit of a rogue one. Not a lot of people will be picking him, but Movistar don't have a big leader, and I think that Mulberger could be okay in GC. He's done decently in punchy races before, like the Tour of Britain and the Deutschland Tour, and I see no reason why maybe he couldn't do it here as well. Remy Rojas, another kind of like good puncher / climber for a top 15 in GC. Rob Stannard was sprinting in that crit the other day. If Bauhaus gets dropped, Stannard will probably survive and be able to sprint. Tesfatsion's a decent sprinter as well. Tlanchon was like top 20 in GC in this race last year. And obviously Henry Ehrlich, the guy who was 2nd in that crit the other day, only behind Welsford. He'll be on a lot of people's teams now, I expect. actually pretty decent at climbing as well. So I think that he is my joint favourite 6 credit rider alongside Thomas Gloag. And yeah, the other ones are all okay, but I think I've pointed out my favourite ones. The 4 credits, you might go for somebody like Fergus Browning, who was second in both the under 23 TT and road race, the Australian ones, just like 2 weeks ago. So he's in great form. Obviously not a part of Trinity anymore. They don't have a road program. So I think he'll be looking to really put his name forward and get in the breaks. And he's a decent climber. So I think that Fergus Browning could be up there for like the KOM classification. Other 4 credit riders, you got Grondin, who I think will be the sprinter for Arkea B&B. You got Hepburn, who will just be racking up assist points more than likely, because Jaco should be top 3 in the team GC, so he'll get whatever. He'll get something close to 50 points or something, which isn't great, but it's pretty safe. Zach Marriage, he won the under 23 Australian TT champs, so good one there. Diego Pescador, new Colombian talent signed by Movistar. Great climber. Maybe he might be top 30 in GC. Gets you a few points there. Andrea Racagni Novriero. He did crash in that crit the other day. He was one of the people who went down on the final corner. But that shows that he was up there sprinting for them, and he is going to be their sprinter. So if he can make it over the climbs, he could be competing in a few sprints. And at 4 credits, that's really good value for money. You've also got Matt Walls, who was 10th in that crit. So great value for money for Matt Walls. He should be their sprinter. And also Liam Walsh, not a name which a lot of people will know about, but he was, I can't remember exactly, but he was top 5 in the Australian elite road race, only like a minute behind Plapp and Durbridge. He has competed in sprints against like Noah Hobbs in the past in like Tor Alsace or something last year. So I think that Liam Walsh could sprint for Australia. Let's take a look at my team. I've got Narvaez, Onley, Finfisher Black, Welsford, Phillipson, Brennan, Erlig, Walls, and Racagni Roviero. My thinking being these top 3 guys are there for my GC ambitions. That's going to be like, that could be the podium in this race. It probably won't be, because I think Stephen Williams will be on there, but those are some contenders for GC. Welsford's the best sprinter in the race. He should be picking up like probably 2 wins, I'd say at least. Phillipson's kind of the new up and coming young gun. This might be the lowest price he ever gets to be. You don't know how well he's going to be, because Del Toro was 8 credits last year and he did great. So I'm going with him based upon his Strava's stats pretty much. Brennan, just because he was so good in that sprint the other day, and Viz Melissa bike don't have a big leader. Early, because he was sprinting well the other day. And then 2 4 credit sprinters, just because they are the most likely to pick up points from that 4 credit bracket. I might change things around, you know. I could put Stephen Williams in. I did have something where I had, you know, instead of Phillipson, I had, you know, I could put Gloag in here, say for example. And then I could put those points onto Finfisher Black, and I could get Jay Vine or something like that. Or I could not do that. I could put those onto Onley to try and get Stephen Williams. But then I'd have to probably put like Erlig down to a 4, where I'd probably go with Fergus Browning. So I could go with something like that, just to basically get those 2 absolute top certainties of GC in there. But part of me just thinks that, like I said earlier, Onley can do pretty much what Stephen Williams can do. And then with that, I get the excitement of seeing what Albert Phillipson can do. He could be a big overperformer in this race. Or I could go with Nerurka, because I'm a big fan of his, and then not go with Gloag again and put Fergus Browning in. So I could go with something like that. But those are sort of the iterations of the teams that I'm thinking of going with. It's super great to see VELOGAMES back. I'm really excited to get the conversation going again. And yeah, all that is left to say is to stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next video. Salut.